Mark Twain, real name Samuel Clemens, died April 21st, 1910, arguably the most famous humorist of all time. He left one living daughter, Clara Clemons, and a series of classics, including The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, and The Prince and the Pauper. Now bear with me. Close your eyes for just a moment. You are Samuel Clemens. You are dead. You're dead having achieved everything you set out to do in life. You've crossed beyond the veil into whatever version of writer's Valhalla you visualized, and you've reunited with the 3 children and the spouse that predeceased you. You are out on the porch. It's a sunny day. You feel that sun on your face, and you're smoking a cigar, when suddenly someone on earth puts their hands on the planchette of the Ouija board and draws you back to earth for one final job: writing a novel from beyond the grave. I don't know about you, but I would be irate. Anyone who reaches out to me after death is getting their ass haunted. According to Emily Hutchings and Lola V. Hayes, they did not yank Twain from the spirit realm. Twain reached out to them because he was desperate to find a pen on earth to transcribe his work. Now, who were Hutchings and Hayes? Emily Grant Hutchings was a writer from Hannibal, Missouri, the same small town Twain was from. Lola V. Hayes was a well-known medium, also a published writer, and her image is nowhere on the internet. So, according to Hutchings' summary of events preceding the book, Twain first reached out to the medium Lola V. Hayes in 1911, a year after his death, during a regular meeting of her psychical research society. He told her he carried with him, quote, much valuable literary material, which he yearned to send back, and that he would transmit stories through her if she could find just the right person to sit with her at the transmission board. Hayes experimented with different members of her Psychical Research Society, but Twain was not satisfied with any of them. Only when Hayes found Hutchings in 1915 did Twain find, quote, the negative side of the mysterious human mechanism for which he had been waiting. 2 years later, in 1917, Jap Herron, a novel written by the Ouija board, was published. In her foreword to the novel, Hutchings describes in great detail the process. They took a normal Ouija board with letters and numbers and added a complete set of punctuation marks with India ink to make the transcription process go smoother. Hayes and Hutchings would place their hands on the planchette, the wooden triangle the spirit would use to guide their hands, and Hutchings would read the letters and the punctuation aloud. Now, the first stories they tried to transcribe proved difficult. Hutchings attributed this to too many intrusions on the planchette and other spirits. According to her, Twain explained that this was because he wasn't the only writer seeking a scribe. She quotes Twain through the Ouija board. Every scribe here wants a pencil on earth. Hutchings addresses the elephant in the room early on in her description of events. Yes, she and Hayes were both writers. Hayes wrote short stories for religious publishing houses. Hutchings wrote newspaper articles for magazines and for the 1904 World's Fair. But according to Hutchings, not even the, quote, severest psychological skeptic could assert that their writing bears any resemblance to Jap Herron. In other words, only one person could have created this work, and that was Twain from Beyond the Grave. Jap Herron was published in 1917 with Twain's portrait and signature. It tells the story of a poor boy who helps his small Missouri town with the help of a wealthy couple. A country paper plays a significant role in the story, significant because Twain himself had real-life experience working in newspapers, starting with an apprenticeship with the Missouri Courier and as a typesetter for his brother Orion's small newspaper, the Hannibal Journal. However, it wasn't the first spirit novel to be published. In fact, it wasn't even the first spirit novel to be published in 1917. Pearl Coran published The Sorry Tale in June of 1917, just before Jap Herron, purportedly dictated to her via the ghost of Patience Worth. Patience Worth is described as the ghost of a Puritan killed by Native Americans and, had been successfully publishing work from beyond the grave since 1913, a year after she'd reached out to Pearl via the Ouija board. Sure. Much of Patience Worth's prose, including The Sorry Tale, was released to, I kid you not, really good reviews. It was described as, quote, tipped with the flames of genius by the New York Times. And it was thought to be a classic of world literature. I looked it up on Amazon. It still gets like a 4.4 stars. While Jap Herron received pretty scathing reviews. In part because it was compared against the well-known writings of a beloved literary figure versus an unknown ghost. A sampling of 2 reviews from the time. Quote, unless it differs amazingly from all previous works of the same class, it will indeed demonstrate to all who accept the claims made as to its origin that habitation in the other world results in the pathetic deterioration of intelligence and a complete loss of the sense of humor. It gets worse. If this is the best that, quote, Mark Twain can do by reaching across the barrier, the army of admirers that his works have won him will all hope that he will hereafter respect that boundary. They had fun with this. Twain's daughter, Clara Clemons, was having none of this. She and Twain's publishers sued, and Miss Clemons did not mince her words. She called the claim that the book was written by her father from beyond the grave silly, foolish, stupid, and crazy. She then placed the matter in the hands of her attorney because she did not want any such book published. So Hutchings was given a choice. Admit the book was a fraud, or, if it was really written by Twain, give up all the profits to his estate and his publishers. Hutchings agreed. I like that. Let's add law. Hutchings agreed to stop publishing and destroy all existing copies, and the lawsuit was dropped. However, she didn't recant her claims. So that leaves the question, did Twain write Jap Herron from beyond the grave? Well, it definitely has. We'll get to it. Twain-like quips and local dialects. It correctly describes life in a small town in Missouri, and it accurately portrays the workings of a small town newspaper to which Twain and presumably his ghost were well versed. Did Twain leave the world with unfinished business? And did he return for one last novel? No, I'm sorry to disappoint you, you spooky nerds. There are some things Hutchings doesn't disclose in her description of how Jap Herron came to life. She doesn't mention that she was present during the first Ouija board seance with her friend Pearl Coran when Patience Worth revealed herself. It gets worse. She bought Pearl Coran her first Ouija board and observed 5 years of Pearl Coran stacking up that cash with the financial success of transcribing the words of a ghost. Nor does she disclose her correspondence with Mark Twain, starting all the way back in 1902. Hutchings was a secret Twain stan. She wrote 15 years earlier as a writer trying to get a foothold, asking for advice on writing, and he responded, telling her, hey, only send out your best work, throw away the rest. She wrote back again, and she was extremely condescending. She said that she was impatient to earn money writing and claimed that Twain had it easier when he started his writing career 40 years earlier. According to her, quote, it was much more difficult to get an oar in when so many other oars were fighting for a place in the current. And she goes on, if you had to make it and start now, I believe you would have an uphill pull simply because there's meat in what you write. It isn't all cleverness. In other words, she's telling America's premier author he might not be able to hack it anymore. A bold choice. And in case you think that this correspondence might have made a ghost of Twain more likely to pick her as a conduit, consider this. Twain saved the letter. And on the exterior of the envelope, he wrote the following. Just kidding. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. I lied to you. You all bought it. Every one of you. But, you're all suckers. But the truth is almost as damning. And this is real. Idiot. Exclamation point. Preserve this shit because she's going to come back and I want it. I want it. I want you to know it's bullshit. So his note indicates not only did he not have a high opinion of Miss Hutchins, but that he had the foresight to preserve that letter because he knew something about this crazy lady would come up in the future. So Hutchins and Curran's spirit-mediated writing has been debunked. Why did they choose to publish their work as if it came from the beyond? A ghost reaching out from the beyond makes a great goddamn hook. And particularly in 1917, people were obsessed with hearing from the dead. Why? Goddamn right, you're so good at history. I love all of you. World War I snatched 40 million civilians and soldiers worldwide in the blink of an eye. And people were still dealing with this. And even the greatest skeptics wanted to hear from their friends and family taken too soon. And also, as Hutchings notes, there were a lot more oars fighting for a place in the current, and saying a famous ghost wrote your novel transforms your shitty canoe into a motorboat. Hutchins' only mistake was choosing a beloved dead writer with living relatives and publishers who could sue. Lawyers, again, we're adding it. We're getting a slide. I will close with this. Well, artists are being pulled from the grave and forced to perform against their will. It is not an issue relegated to the past. It is current. With the advent of AI, you want to come over? You got it. You know what's coming. With the advent of AI and modern film techniques, we are already seeing dead icons dragged back and more litigation. Peter Cushing was included in a recent Star Wars movie, and he's been dead for a while. And that prompted litigation with his estate, and I hope they win. Further, and it's Disney, they got deep pockets. Further, ChatGPT can spit out soulless copy in the style of Twain, much like Jap Herron. So we're still left with the question, when you're dead, should the living be able to drag you back on stage like a father who is very tired and doesn't know what he's saying right now into a crowd of people? Or should you finally, in death, be allowed to close the book, literally and metaphorically? So, I'll ask you to raise a glass to Mark Twain. Thank you for all the unique literature you contributed. You remain irreplaceable. Rest in peace. May they let you stay.